Yeah. Okay, you got the questions?
Yeah.
All right. Yay.
Wow.
So here we are. It's so rare that we get to answer questions together. I'm so happy to be here. And this is Safehouse Q&A with Magia Magic. My husband is here to answer questions with me. And I guess we should start with the thank you to our sponsors. Our sponsors right now are
Our subscribers, our students on Safehouse.
Yes, we love you, students on Safehouse. Thank you so much for giving us questions that we can answer. Thank you so much for letting us teach you. It's been a wild ride so far. We've released so far almost 6 workshops this year, 6 workshops in 6 months. So by June, 6 will be out. We just finished shooting Erotic Wealth and doing our flywheel for that. Erotic Wealth is business tools and eroticism and how to use SEX magic to reach your next wealth epoch. But right now, we have Mesoterica for free. Mesoterica is an initiation into second level teachings, which you must be initiated into. And that's 100% free when you go to mommyonami.com/mesoterica. We always have 2 workshops running at a time. So right now it's Wheels Reinvented and Mesoterica. The second Wheels Reinvented, which is on childhood trauma and the chakras. Second that ends, we start Fuckless, which is about authenticity and marketing, and that runs with Mesoterica at the same time. So if you're like, what workshop is right for me? Don't even worry. You can come and try our totally free school and do a whole month of Mesoterica, as well as see all of our other workshops. You can do that at any time by signing up for my newsletter, and you'll get an invite for that. And on both the paid version and the free version, there is a little workshop called How to Get Started. It is our intake form. You just fill in the pie chart. It'll take you 5 minutes, and that way we can look at your life and say, oh, okay, here's exactly where this person needs to work. And we'll give you the exact resources that you need so that you're doing the program that's tailored to you and not a program that, that anybody else is doing. You can ask us questions every single Friday. You can ask us any questions relevant to the workshop that you're doing. You're never going to be alone in the system. We are here for you every single week. We're keeping our eyes on all of you, and we're so grateful that you are all here. So let's ask some questions. We probably have Magic is saying that we have to be out of here in 30 minutes. He certainly cracks the whip when it's time to go. This person's wondering, does she let you talk at all?
Sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
Does most of the talking.
We have different, so like Magic doesn't talk, we're like Jay and Silent Bob. Magic doesn't talk very much, but when he does, it's the kind of stuff that I'm usually afraid to say. So listen up. Do you toss each other salad? Obviously. Obviously. Okay, so let's answer some questions.
All right, this is a Mesoterica question.
Okay, great.
What center am I in when I meditate? Are visual memories of the intellectual or emotional center? Are visual memories of the intellectual or emotional center? Are you ever in both centers at once? For example, I'm reminiscing on memories and feeling nostalgic. Would observing memories be intellectual plus nostalgia emotional? If I'm writing without thinking about what I'm writing, what center am I in?
Okay, I literally felt like falling asleep in that question, but it wasn't because of the question. It was how you were saying it.
I thought I was saying it great.
No, I don't know. Did you guys feel excited hearing that question? Okay, so the first answer to this question is, what center am I in when you meditate? In that first Mesoterica lesson. And here's the thing about the Mesoterica homework is that it seems like it's just that homework that you can just think about doing it. And people are like, is it in yet? Like, I can't tell, is it working? It's like, bro, this homework is literally so hard and so hard to remember to do. But every time you even attempt this homework, you're getting further and further ahead because you're not identified with your mind when you're thinking about this homework. Every minute you spend thinking about this homework is actually you meditating. And so this person wants to know, what center is she in when she meditates. With this module that you got, there's a meditation called All Centers Meditation. Now, a meditation is actually being outside of the centers, because meditating is being outside of your mind. All of the centers are in your mind. The centers are not of your true self. Your soul doesn't have centers. Your soul or your essence is just essence. Now, when you are meditating, you are outside of your mind. Anytime you're wondering what center you're in, you're outside of your mind. So why this work is so useful is that if you actually do the homework, and don't assume you know it already, because so many people do, they're like, oh yeah, I got this. Let me think about it. That's not how you get results. You don't get a bigger ass by thinking about doing squats. You get a bigger ass by doing more squats. You can't just think about doing this work, but every time you even wrestle with it a little bit, you get such big results. Now, that specific meditation teaches you how to be in all centers at the same time. Now, ideally, we would be able to have each center doing the correct work at the same time, but it's kind of like having a house with different types of help. You usually have the gardener doing the work of the cook, and the cook doing the work of the mechanic, and the mechanic doing the work of the nanny. Your emotions are making a phone call when the intellectual center is supposed to do it. The intellectual center is dancing when the moving center is supposed to do it. You have all of these, they're doing the wrong work. You have all of the pieces, but they're doing the wrong work. Now, what we develop as a result of really hard work is something called, in this work, is called a deputy steward. And a deputy steward is a function of your mind that makes sure that each center is doing the correct thing. But this isn't something that you can just snap your hands and you have it. This is something that you have to work really hard for. But what you get as an advantage of this is that you don't have to personally police your mind like you are. You have a function that's doing it. It's automated. It's doing it for you. So you have to work really hard to achieve this. And you can't even begin to do hard work until you realize like how much work is needed. Intelligence is knowing where you are. And a lot of people just think that they're a lot more advanced than they are. So what I would recommend for you is to do the all centers meditation and understand that like the goal is not to meditate for 1 hour a day. The goal is to meditate for 24 hours a day. And when you have the right tools, AKA understanding exactly how to observe your mind, that is leading to a state of 24-hour meditation. Now you have to, when you have 24-hour meditation, you can expect, 24 times the results that you ever got before. But it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you humility, understanding that this is not something you have right now. Consciousness is like a Fendi tracksuit. You're not going to go looking for something that you think you already have. If you think that you have a Fendi tracksuit, you're not going to say, God, I really need to get a Fendi tracksuit. So you have to understand that you don't have it and be willing to work for it. And this is what Mesoterica is slowly leading you towards. This is not a workshop for the masses. It's a workshop for the few. But don't ever think it at all in this workshop that when I give you homework that's going to last you 2 weeks, that you can blitz it and be done in 1 day. If it's a workshop where I've chosen to stagger it every 2 weeks, it's because you need 2 weeks minimum. I am objectively waking you up in 10 sessions or 20 weeks. That is only going to happen if you work hard as fuck, and asking questions like this shows me that you are working hard as fuck. Now do the meditation and stick with it. Do that meditation every single day if you can. Cool. Next question. Okay, so I'm gonna read this one now.
She's gonna talk.
She's gonna talk. Oh, is there something that you want? Well, you actually haven't done Mesoterica yet.
No, I don't know.
So do you think that it's too much work for you to do wheels and Mesoterica at the same time?
For me, yeah. I don't to watch that extra video. I haven't had the time to do it.
So what's your game plan, do you think, when Wheels Reinvented is, if you have to choose next, if doing one workshop a week is a better pace for you? Because some people work faster than others, and that's totally fine. The reason why we provide 2 workshops at the same time is for the people that want a lot. If you want a lot, you can get a lot. If you're a big spiritual eater, I got you, girl. I got you guys. But what do you think that you'd be more interested in doing next of the live workshops? Would you be more interested in interior growth which is mesoterica? Or would you be more interested in doing fuckless after wheels wraps, with fuckless being on authenticity and marketing?
I probably like fuckless more.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You think
I sort of just always doing interior growth.
And most people are. I mean, because that's different than I expected you to say. Are you interested in starting your own personal marketing campaign, putting your products and your stuff out there and starting to
Not my
do?
own personal. No, not at this moment. But maybe in the future, maybe I could definitely apply it to what we're doing.
Okay, so if you had filled out a pie of life, which is something that I might have you do, I would not recommend doing fuckless, because you are going to be pushed, literally pushed, to start putting out your authentic content and marketing your authentic wares to the world, like effective immediately within 4 sessions of fuckless. You're going to be encouraged to do that. Now, you are always doing interior growth, and the fourth way might not be for you, but this mesoterica is taking a specific path that guarantees awakening by the end of it. So it's definitely not haphazard. It's got pretty serious meditations and a pretty serious and physical process that's going to begin after point 3 on that. So if you had filled out a pie of life for me, I would probably put you towards mesoterica and not fuckless. But does that change your answer at all? Or you think that you'd still want to focus on authenticity and marketing?
I guess it'd be mesoterica then.
Well, why don't you think about it?
All right.
And I'll ask you again. But here's the thing, he doesn't say very much, but when he does, it's like, oh shit, that's a really good point. It's too much work for some people to do 2 workshops at a time, and that's okay. Would you like to read this question?
Let's see how you do it.
The trauma process and healing is like a puzzle for me with missing pieces. A big missing piece is my mom. She died when I was 15, so it's hard to remember what she was even like. I only remember how much love there was and a great relationship we had, but I know there was more there, because why have I created self-sabotaging habits? I spent a lot of time at my grandma's and aunt's, and I can see where that trauma came from, and same with my dad, but I can't see anything about my mom. And maybe I'm just blaming the wrong things and not taking accountability. What do you think about that, Dan?
I think she's sad that her mom died.
Yeah. And I just want to honor that no matter how long ago your mom passed, that you're sad. That it hurt then, and that it hurts now. She's wondering if there's more there in her mom's relationship, because why did she create self-sabotaging habits? Is she blaming the wrong things and not taking accountability? What do you think?
I don't think I don't think there's anything more. I think you just felt like your mom left early in your life, and maybe you're angry at her for that, however she left. But I don't personally think that there's anything more. I think it's just sadness.
I think when it comes to your mom, that it is just sadness. And I'll explain to you exactly how self-sabotage works. And this person says, we keep going in and out. Okay, cool. It's because the little notification popped up on here. This is our first time doing recordings over here in our gym. And so we want to make sure that the Wi-Fi is good enough. But in Wheels Reinvented, you learn that trauma is the story, and what actually happened is the reality of the situation, and that clearing trauma is removing one from the other. A lot of people do get the feeling that when someone died, they left. Now, she didn't use those words, that her mom left. Her mom died when she was 15, but sometimes there can be a story there, you just left me to deal with life all by myself. And
yeah, we don't know the circumstances of her death.
But here's what self-sabotage is. Self-sabotage is an inability to endure joy. It's an inability to like you can't handle too much joy before you have to make it pain for yourself. And that pain is grief. And grief does sabotage joy because you say, this is never going to last. And I'm going to prove that it's not going to last by sabotaging it. It's what's called an upper limit problem. You can't handle too much happiness in your life without having to destroy it for yourself. And this is a personal thing. It's got nothing to do with anybody else. Everybody, especially the more successful you get, is going to experience this at some point. And the best way to understand it is to learn more about it. My personal favorite resource for learning about self-sabotage is a very short book by Gay Hendricks called The Big Leap. It also teaches you about the zone of genius, which is like super, super important. But self-sabotage is an inability to handle a lot of joy. And because pain feels more comfortable and feels more familiar. And if you lost your mom at such a young age, such an important age too, like 15, like, geez, that's really old enough to remember all of it. It's not young, it's not too young to forget or to not understand what's going on. Like, you fucking get it at 15, super painful.
You had a real good thing going for you, and then it was taken away.
Yeah. And that's sad. I just want to honor that that's sad, that it's not that you're not supposed to be okay after something like that. I would really recommend looking into on Safehouse and also on Bruja Report, there is a bigger workshop called Good Grief, and it's the actual grief recovery process, very by the book. The painkillers is the expedited version, but for really deep sadness, I super recommend giving yourself the gift of doing 7 weeks of grief recovery on such an important figure of your life. And my grandma, who's since passed away, is actually in the first episode of that, but it's 7 weeks super steady as if you were working with a grief counselor. I'm not a licensed grief counselor. I'm just a fucking pervert for grief recovery. It changed my life. So I get it. I'm curious. Okay, you read this one.
Okay.
What do you guys think? Who should read the questions? I just found out I'm a generator. Will I still be good at manifesting? Yeah, a manifestor in human design doesn't have anything to do with manifesting in the esoteric sense.
I'm curious about which center of mine is heavily attached to music.
You're doing great.
It feels as though it might be my emotional center, but also might be something more. My emotional center and my moving center are activated while listening to, singing, dancing with music, but often music is held within me. Would this be my conscience?
Yeah, so sometimes, great question. So sometimes music, which is a form of art impacts us really heavily on a lot of different levels. And so sometimes, like, it's not just limited to one center. So the intellectual center could eat music in the sense where it's wondering, how did they get that? How did they get that sound? How did she get her voice to do that? How did she hit that note? That would be an example of your intellectual center absorbing music. Your emotional center is when you like feel something about it, you know, when it breaks your heart or you want to turn it up, or even when you have like memories attached to that center. Now the memories would be a little bit attached to that song. Memories would be a little bit more in the moving center because the moving center takes recordings of things. But your emotional center is your ability to be touched by that music, to feel like it could make you laugh or cry or want to move. The moving center would be dancing when you're not thinking about how to move it, you know, that not thinking, you're the dance and not the dancer when you're moving like involuntarily to it, or when it brings up a lot of memories for you. The moving center is in regards to moving the body. And all of these questions about center is people asking as a result of our workshop, Mesoterica, great workshop. But the moving center also just replays things. It's recording everything. So for example, your ability to walk downstairs without thinking about it is the fact that the moving center can replay how you've done it so many times, or replay how to reverse a car, or, you know, this. So it's not just in relation to movements, physical movements, but in regards to something that you know reflexively due to a lot of practice practice being a large storage of memories, being able to remember how many times you've done it before. The instinctive side of music is going to be just hearing it sonically, being able to really like hear and to feel the music, like all of that is related to the instinctive side. And I think that it's really amazing the way that like art can touch you like that art can make you feel and think and remember and move, and good art does that. So but I just love seeing these questions because it's a sign that people are wrestling with the homework, and that's what higher teachings are like. You really wrestle with them, but every time you wrestle with them, you're becoming more and more conscious. The fact that you can't figure it out, but you're trying, is like doing so much more than being in a situation where you're just like, oh yeah, I get it. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Next question, please.
A comment here. Should I read that one?
Oh, yes, please. Oh, and this is, so I asked, so Buckless is the next workshop that's coming out. It's on authenticity and launching and marketing. Half of it is related to the interior, which is your personal authenticity journey. Half of it is related to the exterior, which is you being authentic in the marketplace and knowing how to represent the value of your work. And I have I always give away like a super solid bonus for every single workshop. So with the Enneagram, you got the whole book, 9 Minds, which was an initiation into those topics. With Wheels Reinvented, you got 7 Locks, 7 Keys, which was an ebook, which explained to you all of the chakras and their core traumas. These are all things you can get on the free version of our app. Just go to Safehouse Global in the App Store, go to the Discover page, hit free, and you got it there. For Mesoterica, you guys are just getting a month of the free school, so you can see what it's like. For Buckless, I can either make you all an ebook, and you can read master classes, and both of these will be giving you kind of the same information, the 3 pillars of authenticity and the 3 pillars of authentic marketing. Or I could just give you guys the first 2 lessons. So I'd love to know. And so this person, please let me know in the comments what sounds good to you. If you guys want masterclass, ebook, or 2 lessons free. This woman says, I would like 2 live masterclasses. Thank you for your clear answer. Maybe with Q&A, because hearing how you apply the concepts to other people's real life examples helps me understand. Okay, cool. So I will find a way to make that happen. We do Q&A. So the Q&A is always going to be relevant to whatever we're teaching at this time. So there's always, every Q&A is always going to be related to whatever workshop is currently at large. So we answered a lot of Mesoterica questions today. We're just wrapping up on Wheels, but we've answered a lot of trauma-related questions. When we go into Buckless, it'll be a lot of authenticity and marketing questions. We always have Q&A on Friday, and the Q&A chat is something that we're always responsible for. So you can just drop a question there anytime, and we have Q&A on the free version of the app up until 4:20. So let's just see. Happy Friday, everybody. Is it possible to build a healthy relationship with someone who completely destroyed you?
No.
He says no. I understand how trust works, and it is not possible to build a healthy relationship with somebody who does not want to build a healthy relationship with you. So if they are willing to accept that the relationship has been completely destroyed and accept that it's going to take hard work to build it back, and when it's built back, it needs to be built back differently. It is possible to do this if you have somebody that's totally committed to doing it with you 100%, but you can't like talk yourself out of a problem that you behaved your way into. So if they behaved their way into destroying the relationship, you can't talk, you have to behave your way back into their good graces. It's going to be a total shift. Do you feel like you need to deal with your past trauma in order to move on and live? Yes, absolutely. But it's only 7 core traumas that you have to deal with. So don't worry about the trauma that you think is there. Like reliving an RAPE is actually not really doing anything for you except for traumatizing you further. But if you address your 7 core traumas, that's the start and end to your trauma journey. And that's why we made the workshop Wheels Reinvented, because I mean, when people are talking about trauma, it hasn't been fun.
I've enjoyed listening to the case studies.
I've enjoyed listening to the case
It's
studies,
always
but,
a quick.
but as far as the, okay, go ahead.
You can always tell that they're getting results quickly.
Yeah, and that's always nice. But as far as like the vibe, and that's always nice. No, it's really key. But as far as like the vibe of when we were doing Breaking Broke 2.0 versus the vibe
totally
of Wheels,
different.
it's much darker.
Heavier.
Yeah, much heavier. But but there's a start and an end to it. And the thing is when you don't have a start and an end, when it comes to trauma work, is people go into the door of the inner child cult and they never come out. And every conversation is about trauma and it's not improving and it gets worse. Like, that's why Wheels Reinvented is here to be like, okay, we're going to start this conversation. It's going to be heavy as fuck for this specific amount of time. And then it's going to be done. And you're going to feel different after each and every module. You're going to feel different after each and every story, and you're going to feel the results coming in, and that's going to be done. And then you can move on to the next thing.
I like the question about ghosting.
Who said this?
The other direction.
Okay. Go ahead.
What are your thoughts on ghosting, including friendships or any other type of relationships?
I will let you answer that one.
I think it's totally acceptable.
I do too.
It's something that probably hasn't been as extreme in the past because we haven't had this many forms of connection, of ability to reach out, to observe people. So, even if you stop talking to someone, you can still check in on their stuff and see what they're doing. But that's a new thing. Think of the time when it was just mail, postcard, and you send a postcard to someone, write them, hey, we're done here, but maybe they're gone from where they live and they never get that. Like, it's a totally acceptable thing. Not everyone needs an explanation. It's okay just to move on.
You're not and it can suck. I got ghosted one time and I was really upset about it and I gave the guy hell for it, but he wasn't responsible for my feelings. And you don't need someone else to give you closure. It's something that you can create for yourself by grieving. That's what Painkiller is there for. That mommyonami.com/painkiller. Always free, but you don't need someone else to cooperate to give you closure. And like, you have to be able, if somebody doesn't want to be with you, this is not someone that you want to be with. Like, they're not rejecting you, you're rejecting them. The bare minimum requirement for a relationship is that they have to want to be with you. You can't have somebody on a chain, even though that might seem like, oh no, that would actually be nice. But don't delude yourself into thinking that you love a person so much that you would force them to be with you if they don't want to be with you. So you got to be able to, no response is a response. They don't want to be with you. Now, if you can accept that just because they don't want to be with you doesn't mean you're going to be with someone uglier or that you're never going to be with someone. It means they're not right for you, which means you're not right for them. It can be so difficult to accept that. That's what grieving is there for. It makes that process faster. But I used to think that ghosting was like so terrible until I was able to take responsibility for the time I was ghosted and be like, that guy told me from the beginning that he didn't want to be with me. And I was like, no, but I love you. I love you so much that I don't listen to anything that you fucking say, because when you say something that conflicts with what I want, I just don't observe it. And ghosting was like this person's only way to get me out of their life, because I wouldn't take no for an answer, because ghosting only happens when you couldn't say no to somebody any other way. And sometimes ghosting happens when somebody doesn't have to have the courage to say no to you. But just because they ghosted you doesn't mean that you're going to be in pain forever. They're not responsible for your feelings. So if that's the easiest way for someone to get out of a situation, then like, have you ghosted people?
Friends or old friends, when it just ended. You don't need to. I didn't want to give my long explanation of why the friendship ended, why I feel like I've changed and they haven't. That's not useful. That's not useful. If they are where they are, that's fine. that's fine. You can totally move on, keep going somewhere else. You don't need to take everyone with you. Not everyone wants to go with you.
Yeah, and not everyone is supposed to go with you. That's something that you've said to me all the time. Is really useful. Like, you have to let people leave your life. With social media, it seems like you can just keep people around. You know, they're not in your life anymore just because you can go and see what's
Yeah.
they're up
It's
to.
very confusing because it sort
Mhm.
of feels like you know what's going on in their life. You just need to step away from that.
Sometimes you can even make yourself believe that they're doing it to hurt you. And it's like people just live their lives with a public angle on it now. And like, you need to understand that this is your own way of abusing yourself. There's your own way of sabotaging your own happiness. Is like, you're doing well, you're headed on the path that's right for you. And then you see a fucking picture of them also being happy, and that somehow like takes away from your happiness because you can't win unless they lose. And all of this, it's like so confusing for you and so painful for you, but it's an addiction. Addiction is having pain and pleasure confused. And I would really recommend doing anything that you can to see clearly that you're hurting yourself when you don't let these people leave your life. I am a big fan of blocking people. I am a big fan of deleting people. I am a big fan of cutting people out of my life when it's something that just hurts me. And it takes a lot of clarity to see that something has been hurting you. It used to be that you could just relocate and these people would no longer be in your lives. And that was always, it was weird because that was always like considered acceptable. Move, change your life, do your thing, out of sight, out of mind, and you have a whole new life. Now I saw something that came up in the when it's not working for her anymore. And it's like, it's so strange that in a time where having so much access to people via social media is commonly known to not be the best thing for your mental health, they suggest that you're mentally ill when you cut somebody off in that way. It's like, bro, don't fucking listen to these people. You do what feels good for you. And if you've noticed that seeing somebody else's life makes it hard for you to be happy with yours, and like, just get them out of there. It'll only take a few weeks of not looking at them to stop looking.
Stop thinking. We got one more question on the free.
Oh, do we? Okay. I think we answered to this already, didn't we? Did we answer this last week? I think we did.
Right.
Let's see if there's one more on this, okay? I'm going through a smear campaign right now and needed it so bad. Hardly anybody sees that, honestly. And like, just remember that anybody that's trying to, there's no such thing as bad publicity. So if you have someone, I see that you have coaching in your name, and you know, people get kind of strange about stuff like that. If somebody goes up with their microphone and they say, this coach is so bad, I told her that I wanted this and she told me this, isn't it toxic? 50% of her audience is going to say, oh my God, yes, that's so toxic. And 50% is going to be like, sounds like that woman's got a boundary. Sounds like this person running the smear campaign can't see and respect a boundary. No matter what the publicity seems to be doing, it's promoting you. This person has their microphone saying your name. And by law, only 50% of her people are agreeing with it. Those people, if they ever came to you, would be as much of a pain in your fucking ass as this person running the smear campaign was. So it's really good that they're not going to come into your field as a result of that. But that same promotion, the other 50% of her audience are people that were kind of weighing if this person was right for them or not. And by saying, hey, this person is saying no to me on the exact grounds that you are also thinking about saying no to me, it is the best promotion. It doesn't matter if it's a black cat or a white cat, as long as it is catching mice. It doesn't matter if this woman is singing your praises or smearing your insults. It's catching. Trust that. Cool? You will live through it, honey. You will live through it. You can't please everybody. You can't please anybody. Just keep doing you. And these smear campaigners, this is a rite of passage. This is you growing. This is you ascending. This is you doing the right thing. and it is working in your favor. So trust that. And zero, only way she thinks she can get on your level, that if you lose, she'll take your spot. That's a her block. I know it can be very hard to move on with your life with so many people seeming to be angry at you. You fucking can. Go outside. Nature doesn't have a problem. There's not a problem that's not on your phone. And just trust that you can go relax in your life, because this woman is handling your publicity, and God is handling her. Not in a way that she's going to get punished. This is working in your favor. All right? Can you say you're on my friend's side? Say, I'm on, how do you say that name?
Jealous.
I'm just kidding. I was going to hold up. I'm not on anyone's side, though. I'm not ever on a side. That's the thing about being at the top of the triangle. I see the two sides. I don't play. Okay. And some days I can't get back up, but I've never stayed down. And that's the thing. You said some days I can't get back up. You've gotten back up every day. Might take a while, but you've done it. You are getting it. All right. Love you all so much. Thank you for being a part of our Q&A. You can become a student of ours in 2 ways. You can get preview content and Mesoterica totally free when you download Safehouse Global in the app or Play Store. Head to the Discover page, click the free option, or you can enroll full on and let us teach you for a whole year. It's a mind, body, bank account overhaul. Every workshop builds on the other. There's a 5-day free trial for that always. If you start with the free option, we'll see you for that 5-day free trial eventually, because you get a teaser of all the work and you're going to want more. But regardless of how we see you next, we can't wait to see you next. Love you all so much. Thank you for being a part of this Q&A, and it's time to go get our babies. All right. Love you guys. Love you guys. Love you guys. Bye. Look, I let you talk, Dad.
Thanks.
Oh, we have to hit end on that one too.
Oh.
Bye, y'all.